Sabah everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the Lark X. This is a microphone system that features some unique characteristics. One of them is the ability of actually keeping your microphone and as well two microphones and transmitter fully charged even when you're done, as well as the ability of actually having noise reduction functionality built into the actual transmitters with a single click of a button. This is TK and this is my review of the Lark X. Let's go ahead and test it out on the Xperia Pro I, on the iPhone 11 Pro Max, as well as the Pixel 6 Pro. Like and subscribe and make sure you hit that bell icon so that you're always notified to whenever we have new videos on the channel. So here is the package. The box is very descriptive, as you can see. The Lark X is the model. We have two transmitters to one receiver, and of course we also have the case that is very unique to this entire configuration. It is charged through USB-C, so you're able to charge it directly. We have a 3-light indicator here indicating to us the battery level on different experiences. The far left one is green, which means this microphone or this transmitter is fully charged, as well as the receiver and the other microphone to the other transmitter that need to be charged. And you can actually press them in here, and once they're all fully charged, the light's all green. So at this point, since I've been using these to record the samples that we're going to look at in a little bit, they're going to be charged and I'm not going to have to worry about them. The moment I'm done recording an entire session, I'll be able to basically switch it over, put it in the case, let it fully charge, and then when I'm using them on the next session, plug in the case and make sure that it's fully charged. One thing to keep in mind, that the case itself on a full charge will go ahead and charge up the microphone and receiver and the transmitters and receivers up to 2 times from a full charge. So that's really, really nice. And of course, it's going to take about 90 to 120 minutes depending on the fully charged, and it takes about 80 minutes to fully charge the case itself. So the microphones in the transmitter receiver have about a 4-hour battery life. So fully charged up twice with the case, you're always going to be able to keep going with whatever configuration that you have. And it actually is very nice and sleek and protective of all of the elements inside. One of the main benefits that we have in here, obviously, is built-in microphones. Those are the transmitters, the UHF transmission, that's going to be the technology they're using, as well as the ability of real-time monitoring. And I'll get into that once we start looking at the hardware. Some of the main benefits: lightweight and portable, high sensitivity sound pickup, so it's really good at picking up audio around us. Automatic pairing, which is automatically configured out of the box. You don't have to do anything on it. Original sound, as well as noise reduction. And this gets triggered by just pressing the button, and it changes the light on the transmitter from white to yellow. Now, one additional feature here that we have that doesn't really exist in most wireless solutions, that's the ability of adding external audio. So that basically means here that when we're looking at the actual unit, this input, or the one on the left, if you're looking at the transmitter from the back, is going to be audio input, as opposed to where we have audio output to, you know, your DSLR, your camera, your phone, whatever source that you're going to be using as a receiving end. Of course, we can still monitor this. So if you're behind the camera, you want to monitor the audio, you want to make sure you have a good signal, this is also going to give you that ability. The package does include a carrying case that is basically going to be protective. Go ahead and keep everything safe for us, especially if you're traveling. You want to be able to have everything in one container, and you can actually have everything included in here. Now, out of the box, as I mentioned, I showed you guys the container. This is pretty much where it fits. It's on the left side. There's a very nice spot for it. On the right side, we get all of the accessories. And let me say, they include a lot of accessories. So they have a cold true mount, specially made specifically if you want to be able to put this on top of your camera, if yours doesn't come with it. We have USB-C to USB Type-A connector. So this is going to be able to basically plug it in and charge it from, let's say, a PC or anything like that. We also have a USB-C to USB-C cable to be able to charge the case. So again, giving you the options to be able to charge it from almost any source. An adapter obviously here for depending on the receiver that you're using. Also an extension antenna here. The standard range that we have here is up to 20 meters, and if you want to go longer, each microphone has a USB-C port open at the bottom, and this will enable us to have much further distances, which is also really nice, especially if you're outdoors and you want to be a little bit further away. As far as cables, we get one that is TRRS to TRS. This is going to be great for your camera, so if you're recording to a DSLR, a TRS will be your main connector. But if you're doing it to a smartphone, you want to use TRRS to TRRS, which they actually do include 2 of them. So you have the ability of basically making sure you have a backup. This is going to be pretty much your standard configuration for most smartphones, as they require a TRRS to be able to get the audio input. So this will be what we use for the Xperia Pro I. If you want to use it with your iPhone, you want to use it obviously with the included cable that they have in here. But if you're using it with, let's say, any other smartphone, the Samsung or whatever, you need to make sure that you're using a TRRS, as well as the adapters that are made for your smartphone. This one's made for Samsung devices and pretty much just easily inserts, and now I'm able to use it with my Samsung smartphone. And again, you could use it with any other smartphone that does not have a 3.5mm headphone jack. But if you're using, let's say, the Xperia Pro I, the Xperia 1 Mark III, this is pretty much all you need. And then lastly, they do include a Lightning to TRRS cable, again, intended to be able to work. The receiver does require a TRRS connection, so this is intended for your iPhones. The main benefit here that you're getting essentially is a plug-and-play type of an experience, and we're definitely going to get a chance to test it out there. Lastly, I didn't get a chance to show you guys, but they do include a user manual to be able to understand all the different options. Now, as far as the actual charging, as I mentioned to you guys, if fully charged, the entire system can run for up to 3 full cycles. The first full cycle would be based on the charge inside, and then the case will charge them twice. So basically up to 12 hours of usage, since they technically run for about 4 hours each. Removing them is very simple. They have a USB-C connector at the bottom for both of them, again used for either charging or the extension antennas, as well as the actual transmitter also includes a clip that's mounted on it and also included a space for it to charge. You can kind of see the different opening ports right there. So in that situation, let's say you're outdoors using the entire system, you can connect this to a USB-C charger and you're pretty much set, and you're able to keep going as long as you'd like. Now, to turn them on is pretty straightforward. We have one button on the actual transmitter and one button on the receiver, as well as a volume control. So press and hold the buttons, both of them together, give it about maybe 1 or 2 seconds. You'll notice the power turns on. This one is staying on yellow. That's because I was using it before. I'll go ahead and turn it back on, and I'll go ahead and turn on the other transmitter. So now we have 2 transmitters connected to the one receiver, and we can see essentially the different configurations that we're looking at here as far as the channels. First thing I'll say this, the monitoring experience here is very straightforward. You can see the battery level, you can also see the signal strength, the channel, if there's audio being recorded, and that's why one of the reasons why those colors are going on. And if you do switch over from one color to the other, so let's say I switch it on, you'll notice this one is actually on noise reduction, and then this one is not. Let's go ahead and bring them closer. And to switch on between one mode or another, you just press the button and then switch back. To power it off, it's pretty straightforward. Press and hold to power off both microphones, and the same thing would be for the receiver, in which you basically go ahead and push and hold, and you're pretty much set. Very simple, very easy. When you're not using them, keep them in the case and you're pretty much set. Let's go ahead and jump on and do some experiences. We're going to test it out with the Xperia Pro I, the iPhone 11 Pro Max, as well as my Pixel 6 Pro. I do have the Xperia 1 Mark III here, but that's mostly since I don't have the Xperia Pro I in the studio anymore. Switching over to the Pixel 6 Pro. Now, some of the benefit here is the fact that not only can we use the front-facing camera to record 4K 30 frames per second, but we can also use external audio, provided you have the right adapter. If your audio receiver has USB-C audio out, then you're perfectly fine. Just connect it over USB-C, and in the settings, as I showed you before, pick the audio selection to be the external audio. But if you're in the situation with me right now where the Voical Lark X does not have USB-C out, but it does have basically the TRRX option. For me, I'm using the Helm Bolt. This is one of the DACs that I love using with my smartphone, but it also features audio input. So as long as you're using the TRRX adapter with it, your device can actually recognize it, and you have a nice little symbol at the bottom of the video when you're recording, obviously not in the output file, showing you that you're using external audio. Again, and I can technically put the phone down, walk away. I can even use the main sensor on the back. Maybe if somebody's recording me, I can do an interview with it. It's just so many more possibilities done with the Voical Lark X. And it's very easy, and you can charge it back in the case when you're carrying it. Really, really simple. One of the things I love doing is using a tool for what it's intended for. The Xperia Pro I is intended to be a pro tool with pro camera experience. One of the things I loved about it is the fact that we can actually use the grip. This is something that I've used with the ZV-1 or the ZV-E10. That's why I actually bought this one. And there is a kit that's going to work exactly with the Pro I that does the exact same thing with the external display, that little monitor that sticks to the back. But one thing I love about this is because this is connected via Bluetooth, and I'm using obviously the Voical Lark X here, that the microphones that I'm using wirelessly connected with the headphone jack with the TRRX connection. So therefore I have USB-C providing power, the headphone jack providing the audio input directly into the video camera application, and I can do this. I can actually control the zoom. Now, although I can't see myself directly, I do have that little monitor up there that gives me the ability of seeing exactly what's going on. Switching over to the iPhone, I'm using my 11 Pro Max here, and this is going to be pretty simple. You plug it in, you turn on the camera, and you start shooting with any lens because it works just like that. Make sure you use the right cable, and for the most part, it's pretty easy. Now, I'm using the standard profile that you get automatically when you turn on the transmitter and receiver, and this one does not feature any noise reduction. One thing to mention is a little bit of a tip. The way this actually interfaces with the iPhone, it actually considers it not only as a microphone, but also as a speaker. So if you record an audio and you're trying to play it back, you notice audio is not coming back, make sure you unplug the lightning cable from the transmitter or the receiver, and you should be able to get your audio working again. But the overall experience, again, very, very simple, very easy. You plug it in and you start using it. Now, I do want to show you guys, or at least demonstrate for you guys, a little bit of the noise reduction. Now, I'm in a very quiet studio, so obviously there is no need to reduce any noise. So I'll give you about maybe 1 or 2 seconds of silence. So for the most part, not much to do here, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to insert some audio or some noise, background noises. And this is supposed to simulate somewhat of an office environment, so I'll give you also a couple of seconds of that. And as you can hear, this is definitely something that could make the audio for any video sound a little bit off. This is going to be obviously very distracting. You don't want to have that in your audio. So let's go ahead and turn on noise reduction. Now the function is very simple. You just press the power button once, the light on the microphone becomes literally yellow. The moment that turns on, noise reduction is turned on, and you notice that the audio starts focusing more on me and less on the background. It doesn't eliminate it entirely, it reduces it. This is the function noise reduction. And it also doesn't work on audio from people. So if the people are talking behind you, this is not going to affect them. It pretty much just affects, let's say, clicking, background noises, and so on, enabling us to have a little bit more of a focused experience on the speaker, but not so much on the background, which becomes a little bit distracting. Now, obviously, we're not going to be always in this situation, but by default, this is going to be the best experience with noise reduction using the brand new microphones here. What I really like about the system is that it's very versatile and it's easy to use. The case itself charges the actual transmitters and receivers, and you never have to worry about the fact that if the batteries are low, do I need to charge them? I'm about to start something. It's going to be ready whenever you need it, and when you're not using it, make sure you keep it plugged, and at that point, you're charged, well, the battery in the case stays fully charged, and the actual units themselves stay fully charged. The noise reduction is very simple. I will say this though, if you're doing it in the middle of the actual shoot, it is going to sound on the microphone. So be careful. It is definitely, the microphones are sensitive enough to be able to pick up a good amount of audio behind us. And it doesn't necessarily eliminate the audio. For the most part, it reduces it. As we said, it's noise reduction functionality. Now, this is different than the microphone system that I reviewed from Pixel. This is the brand itself, by the way, a few months ago, which provided us different audio profiles and so on. This one doesn't focus on that. This one's pretty much focusing on noise reduction and the ability of giving us a good range, a good battery life, and an extended battery life with the included case that comes in here. A very different approach than some of the other microphones that we have on the market. I feel like it has a lot of good features for different capabilities and provides us the flexibility of being able to actually use it at an extended range with the included antennas, and they include almost every single cable you could potentially use. Now, I will say I wish there was basically a TRRS to a USB-C, since I feel like that would be most of the Android ecosystem. They do include a cable for iPhones, but for Android, for the most part, if you're using let's say a Sony phone, there's no problem. It works absolutely native. Just plug it into the headphone jack and you're ready to go. If you're using it with a Samsung or any other manufacturer that does not have a headphone jack, you will need to either figure out which adapter works with them. So if they do sell one, you need that one there. Or you may want to get, let's say, an audio input. And you could definitely use other options as well, not necessarily just dongles. If you're using a USB-C DAC, like the Helm Bolt that I have right now, this also works as an audio input as well, not just an audio output if you want to listen to music. So find whichever configuration works for you, and I feel like that the Lark X will definitely fit your needs. Like and subscribe as usual. Thank you very much for the support, and I'll see you in the next video.